Following a 3-game skid in which Lakers had neither Jackson Hayes, LeBron James, or Rui Hachimura available to play, that left them relying on other players, and one of them did happen to be Alex Len. And well, I think it's safe to say they cannot rely on him, neither in their rotation, let alone their starting lineup like he has been a part of lately. In their past 2 games now, he has been in their starting lineup and it's not gone well for him or their team in general. Losing both games and getting little to absolutely nothing from Alex Len on the court, definitely looking like he does not belong on the court at this point, and maybe a guy they should move on from. Whether that's permanently benching him and never playing him on the court for real rotational minutes, or then moving on from him as in waiving him, I think they kind of think about both options. But do they have the ability to do that, or should they look to do it? We'll talk about that and break it all down. But before we get too far into it, don't forget to check out g2a.com. They got your best new games like Monster Hunter Wilds, gaming gift cards, software discounts, and much more. There will be a link to check them out in the video description down below. But now getting back to our topic, and with Alex Len, again the one thing that is certain here is that they definitely do need to move on from him. Can't be a part of the rotation going forward if they hope to win. That's definitely not a serious move for their team and not a winning move, someone you can't hope to rely on at center, neither in your starting lineup or coming off your bench and playing any real meaningful minutes. I mean, last night for them, playing about 20 minutes for them, and I'm not sure why he played that much, but in that 20-minute time frame, put up a whopping 2 points on 1 of 3 shooting from the field, only grabbed 3 rebounds, had 1 assist, and that was a negative 15 on the court. Yeah, not too good and definitely not a reason to be out there. Whether you're talking about offense, defense, or literally anything on the court, he definitely gave them little to nothing and should not be on the court for them going forward. And then off the bench for them, they finally did go back to Koloko, and I was very happy to see it. Played about 10 real minutes, 5 of which came during garbage time, and I'm not really going to count that. But in that brief time frame on the court, not going to say he played great, but definitely better than Alex Len. I mean, it wouldn't take much, but immediately upon entering the game for them, Koloko and Luka Doncic connected for an alley-oop, something that I've been talking about and something that many have been pointing out, the fact that he's actually a lob threat, unlike Alex Len or Trey Jemison for that fact, a quick-footed rim runner, and a much better rim protector. No, he might not have this strong, sturdy frame like an Alex Len or a Trey Jemison, but at the end of the day here, they don't really need that, and especially not for many matchups. More so, they need the more lob threat, the quicker guy on the court, the more switchable defender on the court, and simply the guy that Koloko is, rather than what Alex Len or Trey Jemison are. And don't get me wrong, not saying that Trey Jemison should not be out there over Alex Len, he definitely should be too, but I was happy to see Christian Koloko on the court for them, and he definitely should get minutes over Alex Len, both him and Trey Jemison going forward. I mean, I really don't think you can find anything or say anything to defend Alex Len at this point. Not trying to throw too much shade at him, and I have nothing against him personally, but simply for their team and their front court, what they need from it, it's definitely not him. In the 6 games that he's played with them, the guys played about 12 minutes per game on average in them, averaging a whopping 1 point per game, shooting 33.3% from the field, grabbing 2.3 rebounds per game, and being a negative 23 overall. So again, no matter what you can say or find to do with him, it's not been good and he definitely should be replaced. And well, the argument should go beyond only Christian Koloko and Trey Jemison in my opinion. It might be a bad look to outright waive Alex Len, signing him and kind of prying him away from a different team, that being the Indiana Pacers, getting him to sign with their team over them, and then waiving him after the playoff eligibility deadline. That might be a bad look, but at this point, they've tried to make it work with him. They've given him playing time, made him a part of their starting lineup, played him with better players and a great playmaker like Luka Doncic, and still they have gotten absolutely nothing from him. So if that's a bad look, I think they gotta simply live with it. If for whatever reason that would turn a future veteran player away from their team, I don't know what they can say or do about it. They've tried to make it work with Alex Len to absolutely no avail from him. He's given them absolutely nothing. So at this point, I think it is time to move on from him. Whether that means permanently benching him and forgetting about him in the rotation entirely, or then taking that a step further, waiving him and then replacing him with somebody else, either with a current 2-way contract or with somebody on the open market. I think they gotta seriously think about that. After all, with matchups like the Denver Nuggets, not only once but twice in the next week coming up, along with another matchup with Milwaukee on March 20th, and then a team like Orlando shortly after that, all of which are very big teams and very big versatile teams, they will need center depth and simply frontcourt depth that Alex Len cannot help them with. And well, if they're simply relying on Christian Koloko and Trey Jemison, that won't be enough for them either. I think they gotta do something or add something, try to get something more from their front court, which they can't get from what they currently have and with the guys that are currently hurt. I mean, who knows when Rui Hachimura might be back, when LeBron might be back, when Jackson Hayes might be back. Hopefully it will be as soon as early next week, but we never know at this point. It might be, but it also could be another week or two before any of them are back. Now, that would obviously be a much bigger problem than what they do or do not do with Alex Len, but at least they can control this part. What they do with Len, who they replace him with, they can control that and take power into their own hands here, so why not do it? I definitely am thinking about it, and if I had the control, I think I would pull the trigger. Waive Alex Len and then replace him, either as somebody they're familiar with, somebody they might have had on their team previously, or currently have on their G League team. I think that would be a good route for them to take, kind of taking inspiration from the Jordan Goodwin edition, him knowing their playbook from playing with the South Bay Lakers. JJ Redick has talked about that and saying that he wants their G League team to be an extension of their team, and the Jordan Goodwin edition has been a good representation of that so far. So if they would go that route, what could they add from their G League team or simply somebody that has been affiliated with their team this season, kind of knowing their playbook and probably wouldn't take that long to get acclimated to their team? Well, one option for them could be their current G League center, that being Kelley, is playing for them right now after a brief stint with the Dallas Mavericks. I brought him up earlier this week and he might be a good option, not only because he's played with their team, but the fact that he's played NBA minutes this season has proven to be a decent option and is a good defender and a good lob threat, kind of the foundation for a center to pair with Luka Doncic, again pointing that out with Christian Koloko, but even a step further with Kelley, is a little bit older and a little bit more filled out compared to Christian Koloko, a little bit more sturdy and does have the ability to defend the post a bit better, doesn't foul as much and is a little bit less jumpy compared to Christian Koloko, with better shot blocking instincts and definitely some good showing in the G League as well. Last season averaging about 4 blocks per game or per 36 minute average, nearly 5 blocks per 36 minutes. This season about 2 of them per game, and between that, the rim running, decent rebounding, and being a good lob threat again, I think he'd be a solid option. Could even add him with a 10-day contract, wouldn't have to add him through a standard contract, could kind of audition him or any other player for that fact, and probably get more from him than Alex Len, and I think that would be a pretty good bet too. Or if they instead want to go the small ball route, they have a pretty good option for that and a very familiar one at that being Stanley Johnson. Currently playing with the South Bay Lakers again, and in the 9 games that he's played with them, averaging about 16 points per game, over 7 rebounds per game, 4.5 assists per game, shooting about 33% from 3 on 6.3 attempts per game, playing great defense and playing anywhere from small forward, power forward, all the way up to center, much like he did with their team back in 2021-2022. And with their affinity for small ball and the versatility it gives their team, especially on defense, I think Stanley would be a good fit for that role. They already do it with guys like Dorian Finney-Smith, Rui Hachimura when healthy, LeBron when healthy, even Luka Doncic a bit when healthy, and I think that Stanley could fill that role for them as well, again primarily on defense here. I mean, you can directly point to it on their team back in 2022, filling that role pretty well with their team, playing alongside LeBron in their front court, and I think that would be a pretty good look for them in some matchups, and again, I think Stanley could fill that role for them. Whether you're talking about defending the post for them, Stanley, despite only being about 6'6", 6'7", does have about a 240-pound frame, is very strong and very hard to move around the rim, is a good rebounder, very good at boxing out and doing the little things on defense. Combining that with Dorian Finney-Smith or Hachimura in a small ball lineup would be a pretty good and fun look on defense for them. And then even offensively, a pretty good backdoor cutter, definitely runs the floor well, can hit the occasional 3-point shot, has been showing 3-point shooting improvement. So no matter what way you look at it, I think there's an argument for it, and especially for their small ball lineup. Now I don't want to keep yapping about the 3 guys I keep going back to, those being Kelley, Stanley Johnson, and then Moses Brown. A guy that played with their summer league team, then training camp with them, and initially planned to play with their G League team despite going elsewhere. Those would be my top 3 options and the guys I would look to at the current moment, primarily for a 10-day contract, and they do have familiarity with their team, so I would look for them first. But after that point, the next popular options happen to be Mo Bamba, but he actually got picked up with a 10-day contract, so you might not be aware of that, so he's ruled out. Or then after him, the popular names tend to be Dwight Howard and or JaVale McGee. two near 40-year-olds at this point, and probably and guaranteed to have not aged as well as LeBron. Not many ever have, and probably ever will again. But I guess they're in the conversation and maybe could be up for debate. I'm not sure Dwight Howard would be. I really doubt that he's in game shape or even healthy enough to play. And then even in the odd chance that he would be, would he want to play for their team? Would they want him to play for their team? Especially after the comments he's made, and apparently even LeBron at this point too. I'm not sure they would, and I don't think the pros outweigh the cons here. And then how about for JaVale McGee? At least you can point to a more recent timetable with him on the court. I think he played in Puerto Rico, so does have some fairly recent performance. I'm not sure how he played there, and does happen to be a bit long in the tooth at this point too. Didn't make an NBA roster, and that's very telling. I mean, could it be worse than Alex Len? I doubt it, but I'm not sure he'd be better than Moses Brown, Kyler Kelley, or Stanley Johnson in regard to what they could do with him on the court, or his ability to stay on the court, both of which are obviously very important. And don't get me wrong here, I love the nostalgia. I wish that JaVale McGee and or Dwight Howard was still their 2020 selves, still the great athletic lob threat rim protection duo, but they're simply not anymore. They're now about to be 40, it's now 2025, not 2020, and I doubt they can offer much, if anything, on the court. Again, probably a little bit more than Alex Len, I'm not really doubting that, but in comparison to a younger option, one that's actually played this season and is actually in game shape, I'm not sure I'd take them over that. And with all of that being said, what do you guys think? How do you feel about the Lakers' current front court, and then what they should do with Alex Len? Should they permanently bench him? Should they waive him, go as far to do that? And then who should they maybe look to replace him with if they would go that route? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But I think that'll pretty much do it for this one. And if you enjoyed the video, then I'll greatly appreciate it if you dropped a like, subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and hit that notification bell to never miss out when I upload a video. But as always, thank you for watching and have a great day or night.